Hi, I'm Joanna,
Hi, I'm Brenda.
and we're Gingers for
For
Justice.
Gingers for Justice,
Yes.
that's us. And what are we discussing today?
So today we're going to be talking about Alec Baldwin
Mm.
and the trials that have gone on. Obviously, there's more than one. And there was actually, if you didn't know, there was a plea deal with one of the members of the set.
That's right.
Yeah, so you don't really hear about those kind of things, especially the fact that this is very high in the media. It's always on the news every time something's going on with it, and you don't really hear about that. There's been plea deals happening, and of course, the big surprise at the end here, where there was a disclosure of evidence, supposedly the same source of bullets were turned in, and the defense didn't know about them. So the trial was.
There's a lot. So we're talking about a movie called Rust, and it's a Western starring Alec Baldwin. And there was a very, very sad incident where a gun was actually loaded with live ammunition. It appears that because of the strike, some of the staff workers and people that were part of the production took a break and took some guns and were shooting beer bottles with some live rounds. Those guns were then placed back on the armorer's table. Supposedly, they were checked. And then as they're handed off to the first production assistant, they're supposed to be rechecked. So Hannah Gutierrez Reed was the armorer. Now she was charged, Alec Baldwin was charged, but the first production assistant fellow, which is Dave Halls, let me just check my notes, one moment please. First assistant director and safety coordinator was Dave Halls. That's our subject today, is Mr. Dave Halls.
Yeah, and supposedly they were in the church was part of the setting where they were filming, and they were just Baldwin was doing some practicing of pulling out the gun. Shot, and obviously there's people milling around. The film photographer was probably checking to see how it was looking. So Hannah had brought in I guess there's a tray or something.
It's like it's like a tray with the guns on it and props. There were 3 different guns.
And they're supposed to say, have them checked, say it's cold, and then she handed them off to Dave, and then he gave it to
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
And there wasn't really supposed to be any firing in the weapon. He was supposed to be practicing or demonstrating what it was going to be like. They were practicing scenes. So the gun did go off. And Alec Baldwin did fire the weapon, no matter what he tried to say, that it didn't work or this or that or the other. There was a million excuses for something that technically was everybody's fault because it was negligent, because there's supposed to be certain checks in place with checking the gun. Everybody's supposed to open it up. Which was Helena Hutchins was actually killed. She was hit directly, like in the heart. The bullet went right through her and hit Joel Souza, one of the assistants, right behind her in his shoulder. He was in the hospital only overnight. Not that that matters, but they're both very serious when something goes wrong. But we did find out a little bit about Dave Halls. So he was charged. And what did he do?
So he, I guess there's a little history there. He has been on other sets, obviously, because of his job, but there's been some safety issues along the way where actually actors have walked off the set.
Nicolas Cage.
I mean, he's a very prominent actor.
So he has disregarded safety according to several other things that he's been involved in, including another weapon being discharged with a live round and injuring a worker on a set. So this is not stuff we're kind of hearing or sort of hearing or rumors in the background. He does not have a good safety record.
Right.
Why he was even on this set, something I'd like to know.
Yeah, I guess background checks are
Mm,
probably
something.
something that you need to be doing.
Google him.
Yeah.
Like we did.
So what I ended up doing is he ended up getting charged, but he took a plea.
Plea deal. That's why we're here,
Yeah.
folks. So what did this fellow do? He pled to reckless conduct with a weapon or discharge of a weapon
Mhm.
along those lines. And did he serve any jail time?
Nada.
Nada. No jail time.
Yeah.
No
Jail
time.
time.
So he must have gotten like, I don't know, a probation?
Yeah.
Like
It
6
was
months?
Yeah, it was 6 months of probation.
Ooh, and a $500 fine and 24 hours of community service.
Yeah.
Hopefully not at the gun range.
So he really made out because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
His record, I think if it all had been brought to trial, I think he probably...
I think he would have been in the shits. I think he did a
Yeah.
good job by taking a deal, because if they had been able to bring some of his past in, which was directly related in a way, it probably would have been
Yeah.
able to be entered. But what's happening now with the whole case, because Baldwin's case was just dropped.
Yeah, because evidence, obviously I spoke about a little bit earlier about evidence that ended up showing up. So that, speculation on... We kind of talked about the speculation on that
Where did this come from?
Where did this come from?
Hannah Gutierrez Reed did go to trial, and her charge was manslaughter, and so that's the same thing Alec Baldwin was being charged with, but she was convicted. So remember, she's the armorer, and she was probably most at fault because
Yeah.
it was her responsibility. She wasn't the second check or the third check. She was the primary. It was only her second film she'd ever done.
Very inexperienced, I think.
Yeah, so
for such an important job.
So she was convicted and given 18 months in jail. She's in jail now.
Yeah.
And as soon as that was over, somebody shows up with a box of bullets.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't
understand.
know. This is interesting.
Yeah.
So
a
So
retired...
I'm sure maybe that her lawyers are going to be pushing.
No, they already are.
Yeah,
They're trying to get her out
Yeah.
because if newfound evidence is good enough to get Alec Baldwin out of jail, then what is she doing in jail? Well, it's two different sides. It's not necessarily apples and oranges, but I think she
has
had a
some
little
kind of
bit
a
more
case.
culpability than maybe he
Case.
did. I don't know.
Yeah.
In any way, I know that they're all sorry. Even Dave Halls, I'm sure, is mortified that this happened.
Yeah. And all said and done, there should have never been live rounds. And even if they were out back, a strike was going to be happening. That was kind of part of, I don't know if we talked about that earlier,
Yeah,
but a little bit of there was a strike that was going to happen, and while they're waiting around, thought they were going to have to leave. They're out shooting rounds.
With that specific gun. It was a 45
gun, yeah.
Colt, I think. So it's terrible,
it
but
just...
what we're here to say is, Helena Hutchins' family, how do they feel about Dave Halls getting 6 months?
Yeah.
But obviously they wanted him to roll over and be able to testify against Alec Baldwin and Miss Gutierrez Reed. So it was a good deal, I think, for him.
Yeah. So we're going to be on the hunt for our next
plea deal.
I'll see if I can come up with something
Yeah.
interesting as well.
Can we
Maybe
get a
maybe an
suggestion?
old case. Maybe
An old case.
A really old case.
We'll go back on something old.
Yeah.
Not older than Pam. Not older than Pam Smart.
No. So anyway, I hope you thought that this was kind of interesting because you never hear about some of these plea deals.
Everybody hears about Alec Baldwin
But not...
and his Twitter account.
Right. So give us some comments. Maybe a case that you'd like us to look into, talk about. We appreciate that.
Yeah. See you next time.